is 2023 over? Like, how did that happen? Today's video is going to be a wrap, a review, an update. I want to chat with y'all about where I've been. I also want to share all of our wins and misses so far for our homeschool year. And let's talk about goals for 2024. First of all, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Kaela. I'm a second generation homeschool mom who uses generally secular resources in our homeschool. I currently have a 4th grader and a 1st grader. I also have a 1.5-year-old toddler who loves to get right in the middle of things. And we are expecting baby number 4 in April. The last 6 months have just been a total whirlwind. Like, crazy ups, crazy downs. Since I have a lot to chat with you guys about, I'm going to split this video up into chapters, so feel free to skip around to the parts that appeal to you the most. So first off, where have I been? What has been going on? Unfortunately, despite my best laid plans, I had to take a step back from sharing here on YouTube and also from sharing on Instagram. My presence there has just decreased so much this school year over the last few months. And that was due to circumstances that were completely outside of my control. So I am trying, now that things have finally settled down, to get back into the swing of things. And I just want to let you know, I missed you guys. And I am so thankful to each and every one of you who has stuck around, who's been so patient and kind, and I'm so thankful. Thank you for being here. Our homeschool year started off so great, and then just very quickly, things went off the rails, as they often do. I mean, that is the nature of home education. You make a wonderful plan, and then life happens. And boy, did life really happen for us this year. I will go ahead and link my planning videos down below and in the cards in case you missed those, so you can kind of know what I'm talking about. But this school year, I had put more effort into planning out the year than I ever have in our previous homeschool years. And we've homeschooled since the beginning. And I really felt so optimistic about this year because I feel really confident in the direction that we're going, the resources that we're using, the plan and the vision that I had for our year. I just felt so good about all of it. We started July 31st off with a bang. Things were going great. Everyone was excited about our new year. And then 2 weeks later, on August 13th, to be exact, I found out that I was expecting baby number 4. Surprise! I definitely did not account for a pregnancy and a new baby when I was making our homeschool plans for the year. But of course, it's a wonderful surprise. It's wonderful news. We were very excited and thrilled to find out about baby number 4 coming. That was a high point. That was really good news that we got in August. About 2 weeks after finding out we were expecting, my husband lost his job. And so that was a really low point. So we got hit with 2 really big, unexpected life changes back to back in August. Saying that that time was stressful would be a massive understatement. It was just an incredibly heavy season of life. And it lasted really from August all the way through November until my husband was able to get the job that he has now, which has been such a blessing, such an answered prayer. We're very, very happy with what the final outcome was. But those few weeks were just incredibly hard. Financially, emotionally, mentally. It was rough, y'all. Really, really rough. I did really well with our homeschool routine for about the first 6 weeks. We were keeping up with everything that I had planned, with all of the resources that I had picked. And if you're not sure what we were using this year, I'll go ahead and link our curriculum picks videos as well. We had a solid 6 weeks of school from August through mid-September. that were just really smooth, even despite the stress of my husband losing his job and him being home with us, which definitely throws off the routine whenever dad's home. We were doing okay. We were managing. Around mid-September, my first trimester symptoms really kicked in. I don't know if this is true with anyone else, but I feel like with each consecutive pregnancy, the symptoms of that first trimester have gotten more and more intense. Extreme nausea that lasted all day, headaches, dizziness, really intense fatigue, just extreme tiredness to my bones that lasted all day. And it was really difficult for me to do anything, for me to even just like get off the couch and function and do the day-to-day things. It was kind of a blessing in disguise that my husband was home with us during that time as he was looking for work. Of course, there was a huge financial strain on our family. It was also really nice for him to be there to be the support and the backup that I really needed. He was able to really jump in and pick up the slack of housework and laundry and cooking and all of those things so that I could focus on just resting and doing the most I could homeschool wise, which wasn't a lot. Thankfully, the first trimester does have an ending. And so by November, the clouds really parted in a lot of ways because I was feeling so much better physically, but also my husband was finding work. He started off by doing some substitute work for our school district, our local public school district. And that really opened the door to him finding a permanent position at the district office. So he is not working in a school or on a campus. He's working in the actual main office for the district. And it has just been such a blessing for our family. He has a 10-minute commute from our house. His schedule is great. It's just been such a wonderful change for us compared to what his work situation was before. So I am extremely grateful and extremely happy with the outcome, with where we ended up after that really difficult season. In the grand scheme of life, a couple of months is nothing. So I don't really have anything to complain about. I'm so happy with how it all turned out. A quick little pregnancy update. By the time you are watching this, I will be 26 weeks pregnant. So I am getting into my third trimester already, which is crazy to me. Like this pregnancy, this whole year has just zoomed and flashed by. It's very hard for me to believe that I only have about 14 weeks left before this baby comes. Like, I don't know how that happened. I really don't. Once things finally settled down, with my husband finding work and me feeling a lot better physically, we dove right back into our homeschool routine. We've been working really hard trying to catch up in some areas where we had fallen behind. And I'm very happy to say that by now, the end of 2023, the start of 2024, we are officially caught up on everything that counts. Like the really important things, we are there. There are a few things that have just fizzled out and I don't really expect that we will pick them back up. And I'll talk about those in our misses for the year. But for the most part, I feel like we're in a really good place and we've been able to catch up quite a bit over the last few weeks. So happy about that. Okay, let's talk about some of the misses for the year. First miss is in regards to our family read alouds. I admit I was a little bit overly ambitious when I tried to plan out our read alouds for the year. One of my goals for this school year was to increase the amount of books that we read and enjoyed together, and also the amount of literature study that we did together. Overall, we are reaching that goal, but it's been at a slower pace than I had scheduled for our year. I'm still figuring out the parameters of what is realistic for us personally without comparing myself to other homeschool families who like finish a new novel every week, because that's just not ever going to be us. More than likely, that's just not us. But I am sort of seeing a pattern of what is realistic for us and trying to adjust my expectations to that. So the first miss for the school year was that we missed one of our read alouds I had planned, which was for September, one of the roughest months by far. We were supposed to read The Hobbit. I had all of these resources ready to go for us to dive into that book together, and we didn't touch it. It is still sitting on my shelf. We have not cracked it open at all. I thought about picking it up when we were ready, come late October, come November, and then just like pushing my whole schedule down a month or two. But the book that I would have been pushing was more of a seasonal read for autumn. And so to me, it didn't make sense to push that further into the winter. So I just decided to skip The Hobbit this year, continue on with our list, and we'll revisit it another time. Another big miss for us this year, and unfortunately, this has been a pattern for us for a variety of reasons, but this year, another miss was Spanish. We were really good about being consistent with Spanish for probably like the first 8 weeks. We were knocking out lessons and following the curriculum and doing awesome with it. When things got harder for me physically, Spanish was just one of the things that we kept skipping because it wasn't as essential as some of the other things that we wanted to focus on. We had chosen Beautiful Mundo Volume 1. I think it's a beautifully written curriculum. I think it's a wonderful choice. I'm just not sure it's the best choice for us and for where we are, both in my girls' age and development and skills, but also where we are with Spanish. It's very literature based. It's heavily focused on poetry and songs and picture books. And it's lovely, absolutely lovely. But I just don't think that we were able to glean enough conversational skills based off of how the curriculum is designed and written. Our interests kind of fizzled out, honestly. And because of all the other stresses and scheduling issues that were coming up, Spanish was just one of the things that easily got pushed to the back burner, unfortunately. Now I'm at a point where I'm not even sure I want to continue with Beautiful Mundo or if I need to reevaluate and just look for something that's a better fit. Ideally, I think what would work better for us is a program that's more hands-on and focuses more on conversational skills versus sort of the beauty in literature, poetry, music, which I love, but I just don't know that it's serving us as well as something else might. The next miss for the year is going to be art lessons. I actually still really feel like the art book, the art curriculum that I had chosen is a good fit for us. I really do like it. Sadly, it's just not a priority for us. So we are very sporadic with it. We're not consistent. I feel like art lessons are something that get pushed over and over and over. And part of it is like other things take priority. The other part is my kids are very naturally inclined to create and to be artistic. And we do so much like drawing and coloring and painting and crafting across our other subject areas. It's really a part of our daily life. So unfortunately, it's easy for us collectively to kind of say, well, we checked that box. Like we already did something artsy today. So do we really want to sit down and do like an art lesson? Maybe we can skip it this week. And then we just do that like every week forever. So I'm hoping at some point we can pick that back up, maybe be more consistent with it. Another miss for us so far this year is morning time, or as we call it, heart time. We were really consistent with it for a few weeks. And then when life got hard, it was one of the things that slipped through the cracks. That kind of goes hand in hand with our Spanish lessons being a miss, because typically during heart time, we would be working on our Spanish. We would be doing some memory work on those days where I could barely get off the couch and I was like, okay, what can we do in an hour? Morning time, heart time, just wasn't on that list. It just was not a big enough of a priority for us to try to keep up with it. I also have a couple of misses that are specific to certain subject. So for science, we've loved our science curriculum, which is Book Shark Science. Absolute win. But there's a miss there because we got so behind on the experiments and the demonstrations, that portion of the curriculum. So the way that Book Shark works is you do like 3 days of lessons where you're doing assigned reading, you're doing worksheets, you're having discussions about the content, about the lessons. And then on the 4th day of your schedule, you have a hands-on activity. It could be an experiment or just a demonstration. You started off the year strong, doing all the experiments, all the demos. But then again, when life got hard, it just seemed like every week the experiment or demo was cut. We would get through the lessons, we'd get through the reading and the discussion and enjoy it thoroughly. And then by the 4th day, which for us is typically Friday, we were done. Like I could not do the experiment or demonstration. So I don't know if we'll be able to catch up on all the experiments that we've missed, but I do plan on flipping through and sort of picking the ones that look like the most fun, the most appealing. I'm going to try to be adding those into our schedule, probably on the weekends, just because that might be what works best for us. My husband is always down to help out with stuff like that on the weekends, so I might just make that his project where I hand him the experiment book and say, hey, do these 2 or 3 experiments on Saturday. I don't know how that's going to play out, but it makes me sad that we missed out on that portion of the curriculum because it's the fun part. A small miss for history is we have hardly touched our timeline notebook this year. We have this lovely timeline notebook from School Nest. We love the School Nest notebooks. It was something that we used a lot with our history lessons last year. And for some reason this year, we've just hardly touched it. It's not an essential part of our history lessons, so I don't feel that guilty about skipping it. But it's kind of a bummer because I was hoping that we would be more consistent with it. The last miss for the year so far is that I have not yet gotten around to doing Charlotte Mason style exams. I was hoping that we would be doing those towards the end of December. That's when I had planned on it, and it just didn't pan out. My husband's schedule is now aligned with the public school schedule. So he had 2 weeks off for winter break, which he has never had with any job before. So we're kind of having to reconfigure our schooling schedule and match the public school schedule a little bit more because he's home for all of those vacation days. And of course, as I'm sure many of you know, when dad is home, it's really hard to stay in your typical routine. Everybody wants to just relax with him or have fun with him or get out of the house. So the lessons really slip off the wayside. If you're unfamiliar with Charlotte Mason style exams, I am not the person to explain it to you. I am not a Charlotte Mason homeschooler, and I'm not an expert in her methods and techniques, but I have been intrigued by the exams. I have several Homeschool Mama friends who are much more into the Charlotte Mason method. Some of them are even like Charlotte Mason purists, and they share about these exams that they do. I think according to Charlotte Mason, you're supposed to do them 3 times a year, like every 12 weeks, I think. Don't quote me on that. From my understanding, they're kind of an oral narrative style exam, especially for younger students. And then maybe your older students would do more writing as part of the exam. They're much more open-ended than a typical test would be. I have never done Charlotte Mason style exams before in our homeschool, but it was something I wanted to try this year, and we didn't get to it. That doesn't mean we won't get to it. I kind of feel like I'm talking myself out of it though, and I don't know if that's just like laziness or trying to make myself feel better that we skipped them. But I do find myself asking, like, do we really need to do these? Are they really necessary for us and for our style of homeschooling? I don't know. I'm not convinced 100% that they are. I still kind of want to try them. So for now, that's a miss. We'll see if in the future we try them out and like them or don't. Who knows? Let's talk wins. First win is we have been able to keep up and maintain our history quest lessons. And the reason why that is a win worth celebrating is because we have not had success with that in years past. It took us 2 full school years to complete one level of history quest, the early times level. And part of that was just because my kids kept wanting to do these deeper dives into each of these ancient civilizations than History Quest's schedule allows for. If you've used History Quest, then you know you're covering a lot of information relatively quickly. And that has been a challenge for us in the past. I was really worried we would still struggle with it this year, especially with everything that happened. But I'm happy to report that we are right on track with our Middle Ages, our Middle Times for History Quest. We are on schedule. We've been able to maintain the schedule, and it's going wonderfully. The next win is our read alouds. Now, I know one of our misses was we skipped reading The Hobbit altogether, which was one of the books I had on our schedule for this year, but we were able to pick right back up. So in October, we read Heartwood Hotel, which was such a sweet, beautiful book that my girls loved, especially my first grader. It's definitely geared more to her age, but my fourth grader really enjoyed it as well. And it was the perfect book for starting the autumn season because it is a seasonal read for autumn. So it was just very sweet. We really enjoyed it. I believe there are 4 books in that series, 1 for each season. So that's really cute. And I'm sure we'll enjoy the rest of that series. November, we read Beowulf, sort of a revised children's version of Beowulf. And I wasn't sure how my girls were going to like it. It was definitely a different type of book for us to read together. Lots of really big words that were unfamiliar. So they had tons of new vocabulary that they were gleaning from the book, which was great. It's definitely written in kind of a poetic style, which was different for them. So yeah, I wasn't sure that they would be able to follow it, much less enjoy it. I was prepared to drop it if they hated it. But they actually loved it, and they both said it's a book that they will want to read again. So that's a huge win. Right now, we are wrapping up a contemporary fiction novel called Here in the Real World. The protagonist in this book is 11, so it's right about a middle grade book. We're really enjoying it. It's actually the first audiobook that we are having success with. Typically, my girls cringe at audiobooks. They prefer me to do all of the reading, which is fun and enjoyable, but also exhausting. So I'm very glad that we have revisited audiobooks and are having success with an audiobook because it's a lot less work for me. In addition to our novels, our chapter books, we have gotten to read just some wonderful literature throughout our school year thus far. Started off our school year with a lot of myths and folk tales from ancient China. We moved into the Islamic Empire, so we got to read some children's versions of Arabian Nights or 1001 Nights. And then we also covered Norse mythology, and all of those have just been really fascinating, very enjoyable. Another win for this homeschool year, and it's actually something that we just recently started implementing, is Beowulf's Grammar. This is a program by Guest Hollow, which is a family-owned, homeschool family-owned curricula publisher. I was super excited to try Beowulf's Grammar, and I wanted to use it with both of my girls. It is made for an elementary range. I think they say like 1st grade to 6th grade. I might be wrong, but it's something like that where you can use it with a range of grade levels. This was something that I kind of kept pushing off when we were going through the roughest part of our homeschool year. But we started this up in December, and both of my kids absolutely love this curriculum. They love how hands-on it is. There's lots of cut and paste activities. There's comics, there's a story element. It's just very engaging for them, like based on what they're interested in. It is perfect. So the last couple of weeks, they've actually been asking, can we do more Beowulf's grammar? Can we start with Beowulf's grammar? I will do like a separate review video for Beowulf's grammar once we get some more time under our belt with it. But for now, it's very new and shiny and exciting, and it's the first time I've seen my girls enjoy grammar lessons. So I'm pretty thrilled with it. Okay, let's talk about wins and accomplishments for fourth grade and first grade respectively. We'll start with first grade. So my first grader was able to fly through all 3 levels of Dash into Reading this year. That was just awesome. We absolutely loved Dash into Reading. If y'all want, I can do a more thorough review video for you guys. Just let me know if that's something you're interested in. But as a family who is very loyal to All About Reading, I was hesitant in that I wasn't sure if we needed another reading phonics program. And I will say, I don't think I would use Dash into Reading as our sole reading and phonics curriculum, at least for us. You totally can use it like that. I just prefer All About Reading to be our main reading curriculum. But Dash into Reading has been awesome as a way for her to review, as a supplement. Another first grade win is that my daughter has finished all of her 1A books for her math. We use Singapore Dimensions, and they split up the year into A books and B books. And so she has finished all of 1A. She's ready to jump into 1B, right on schedule with us being halfway through the year. So that's awesome. And then just a little bit more on a personal note for my first grader, she has increased her independent reading phenomenally. She is now reading chapter books on her own with no problem. So that is very, very exciting to see. I've really watched her evolve into a bookworm and a kid who loves reading and feels confident in reading. She enjoys reading aloud to our family as well. That is just one of my favorite moments of homeschooling, is seeing your child progress from a kid who has no idea how to read to a kid who's fairly proficient to a kid who loves reading and is very proficient in reading. It's just amazing. It gets me every time. Another win for her is I have seen her confidence in being artistic and creative just skyrocket. She has in the past had some difficulty comparing herself to big sister, who is a natural artist. And my first grader would have a hard time and sort of put down herself because her skills weren't at big sister's level. We've worked through it. She is so much more confident. She's enjoying drawing and painting and working with clay and making art. And she started to just feel really proud about her creations. So that is a huge win. I've loved seeing her progress and just grow in her confidence and in her ability. I myself am not a natural artist, and it's not something that I pressure my kids to do. But I know that it's important to have creative outlets and to feel confident in your ability, or at least confident in your ability to learn and to try new things. So I've loved watching her grow in that direction. Okay, so looking ahead to 2024, here are some goals for my first grader, some things that I want to continue working on with her. We are going to go into All About Reading Level 2 with her. We've actually started already. She's a couple of lessons in. She's already really great at identifying and decoding unfamiliar words, but I like using a reading program to make sure that all of our bases are covered and to make sure that we are not missing any skills. So we're going to continue trucking along with All About Reading. Another big goal that I have for her is to continue to work on her handwriting. She does still occasionally write things backwards, mostly numbers, very rarely letters. It's mostly numbers. So we're going to try to work on that and get her to the point by the end of the year where that's not really an issue anymore. Okay, let's talk fourth grade. So first, some wins and accomplishments for my oldest, my fourth grader. The first win is definitely going to be with writing and with composition. There are two main resources that we are having wonderful success with. One of them is Write by Number, and the other one is the writing activities from Lit House Learning, specifically for history. I've seen my daughter's skill level and confidence with writing exponentially grow this year. We're still doing a lot of sentence level work with Lit House Learning. With Write by Number, we're doing paragraphs. So she's kind of getting the reinforcement across both of those. With Lit House Learning, the writing is specific to historical content and our history lessons. With Write by Number, I can actually assign the style of paragraph that she's working on with Write by Number to any content, whether it be writing about a book she's just read, or writing about something she learned in science, or doing sort of like a free write, like tell me about your weekend or whatever. She can use the algorithm, so to speak, from Write by Number and then plug in whatever she wants to write about. So it's been really easy for us to implement that and be flexible with it and give her a lot of variety in her writing assignments. So it doesn't become this boring thing of drudgery. It's actually something really fun and dynamic for her. And so far, it's working great. That's probably something that I'm going to have to make a separate video on. It's highly requested. Y'all want to know how things are going with Write by Number. So stay tuned. I will make that video very soon. Another win for my fourth grader is she has increased her typing skills and her socialization all in one shebang because we got her access to a messaging app. She does not have a phone, and we have no plans of getting her a phone anytime soon. But she does have access to an app that allows her to communicate via text and video. So she's able to keep in touch with friends and cousins and chat throughout the day. Her accuracy and her speed with typing has increased tremendously. That's been a fun new development for her this year, and I love that she's able to have that independent socialization even when she's home, even when they're not able to be together in person. So yeah, that's been great. Okay, goals for 2024 for my fourth grader. I want to continue working on writing and composition, and I am hoping to get her to multi-paragraph writing, hopefully like papers that are 3 paragraphs long by the end of fourth grade. That's my goal. Another goal that I have for her is more exposure to poetry and just being more familiar with different styles of poetry. That's not something that we've invested a whole lot of time into covering thus far in our homeschool, and I definitely want to make sure that we get to that. There's a couple resources that I have in mind to pull from for poetry with her specifically. One is a unit from Core Knowledge Language Arts. I think it's from their 4th grade level. It might be from their 5th grade level. I also have the poetry component from the Michael Clay Thompson Language Arts Program, Island level. We have the poetry books from that we've never cracked open or used. So that might be something else that I pull from just because I already have it on hand. And then the last goal for my 4th grader is sex ed. We're going to be covering in a lot more detail some sexual education topics with her. For our family, sex ed is not the talk that you sort of have one time. It's been an ongoing progression and an ongoing series of discussions that we've had with both of my girls since they were very young. I am really big on teaching them anatomically correct body part names. I am really big on teaching them consent, on teaching body safety rules. So there's lots of things that we've already covered and continue to discuss and cover with them. But there does come a certain age where they're ready for a little bit more information developmentally and just where she is in her growing process, her physical growth. I have a couple of resources that I've already purchased for that. So yeah, those are our goals for the rest of this school year as we go into 2024. That just about covers it, y'all. I know that that was a lot. I would love to hear from you guys. How was 2023? How is your school year so far? Where are you at in your school year? Are you about halfway done? Are you a homeschooler that starts in January and you're about to start a new year? Let me know down below. And I'd also love to hear any specific goals that you have for your homeschool, your family, maybe each of your kiddos in particular. Let's share those goals with each other so that we can keep each other encouraged and motivated. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for sticking around. If you have not already, I hope you'll consider subscribing and joining this community. And I will see y'all in the next video. Bye for now.